with yet another edition of course, the Oh No Wrestling Podcast. My name is Owen, I'm your sharp break kid, and it's just me and the one and only Duncan, king of Bong Style tonight. Woo! Woo, indeed, my friend. And, bit of a slow week in the wrestling world, but I say that, it's just, there hasn't been many stories, there just have been a few big stories, I want to say. So plenty of us for us to talk about. How you doing, my friend?
You know, I am doing fantastic. I was like, what am I going to talk about? And then I watched the clip of Raw Underground where dude grabs other dude by the dick and then punches him in the face.
Yeah.
So I was just like, we always got something to talk about.
We always have something to talk about. And coming off the heels of, somebody who was famous for grabbing dicks, we now have a new dick grabber in the world of wrestling.
Yes, and his name is Dabakato, I believe.
Yeah.
Not avocado, or maybe it's Dabakato. I don't know how they're pronouncing it.
I don't know either. But intimidating looking individual, I'll tell you that.
He dwarfs the fuck out of me, I'll tell you that. I do know that for sure.
You ran into this guy. You met this guy, did you not?
Yeah, I did. We met him when we were doing the old Performance Center exchange last year.
Yeah, still jealous of that, by the way, because that seems like it was such a cool experience.
If I could have brought you, I would have.
Oh, I know.
Because it was awesome, and I think that once the world comes back up again, we may have an in to be able to experience that.
That would be great. That would be great.
Because it's very cool. It's very cool. It's a definite kind of like mecca for wrestling nerds.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
So, but yeah, he came to our tent and we went to the PC, and super nice, but like, yeah, I'm 6'2" and that dude makes me look small.
Yeah, he's not just tall. I mean, he's a beefy boy.
Thick. He's beefy. Yeah. He's
definitely a beefy guy, but
yeah.
Getting right into that, honestly, what are your thoughts on week number 2 of Raw Underground?
Well, I like how they're just kind of like no rules, and I'm just like, is that the rule? Is that there's no rules? Maybe it is, maybe it's not. I don't fucking know.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like they're doing 3-count traditional pins. It doesn't seem like they're even really doing traditional submissions in a sense. Like they're kind of just, okay, this person's clearly out of it or done. So
maybe it's a TKO thing.
Maybe.
I don't know, but I still don't hate it.
Yeah.
I still don't hate it.
I dig the aesthetic. I think that, it looks kind of neat. I'm glad they're doing something. It looks dirty. Yeah, which
it does look like Def Jam Vendetta.
Yeah.
And I love it. And I love the fact that it does too. Like, I think that I don't know, something about it. It's working for me.
For sure.
And I'm okay with it working for me. I'm just like, okay, I'm going to be entertained by this ridiculous bullshit. Is it Retribution faction? It's going to be interesting to see where that goes, because you probably read the same thing I did that said that the people that they're showing in the hoods and like on TV right now are not necessarily like they're not the same people that will be in the faction once it debuts,
which I find interesting, because it can obviously, I think they're gonna have maybe a couple of those people, and maybe even just the females or one of the females.
I think maybe they'll have a female in there, but I think that they probably won't be any of them. It's probably all Performance Center trainees.
Yeah, there's a good chance of that. And I don't mind that either, because it kind of keeps us guessing a little bit too. It kind of gives a different, it would be it could be too easy, I think, to predict who it was going to be right off the bat if they were all, the people that they were going to be later down the road. So
Sure.
I don't mind it. I don't mind that at all. I think that's a good way that they can run with that. But, back to the Raw Underground thing. I like that they've introduced, I don't know of this guy before, but he was a Brazilian sort of, I think, jiu-jitsu guy and wrestler who came along, and he's, I mean, I don't know if he's been in the PC for very long or who really he is, but just to see, like, I guess their version of an MMA style sort of, fight and aesthetic in a WWE world. I think that it's smart they're bringing in, kind of people of that ilk. Obviously, the Shayna Baszler thing is something that we sort of, I don't want to say predicted, but kind of had an idea might happen last week when we talked about it. And I didn't mind that because it made her look real strong to go up against, essentially three women, and come out on top, looking extremely strong, which is something they need to do with Shayna Baszler. I just hope the people that are in this Raw Underground thing at the moment aren't stuck there, like that they can't,
that there's a way to escape onto the main roster.
Exactly. That would be my biggest fear at the moment, because especially in Shayna's case, she's clearly so much better than just in that role. She deserves to be, fucking main eventing, really, like in my opinion.
She does deserve to be main eventing. I think that they're using Need for Speed Raw Underground to I don't know. I always want to call it Need for Speed Underground because I love that game.
Yeah.
But I think that there's a really good way to use that to kind of build up some people as some real dominant badasses. And Shayna is the prime example, right? Like,
absolutely.
You have her being Shayna Baszler, right? Because that's all she has to do is be Shayna Baszler.
Yep.
She doesn't need to be like any other character. She just needs to be who she was in the fucking octagon.
She is one of those people that definitely doesn't need a repackaging. She is perfectly fine in the role that she has, and this is a good showcase for people like that.
Yeah.
Did you see?
I think.
Go ahead. Sorry.
What? No, I was gonna say I think that your best bet is when you start bringing these people into the main roster, which you probably won't do until there's fans, I'm going to assume. When you start to bring these people into the main roster, you have to have them be dominant.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like it has to be sort of like they really destroy and make it look like where you watching them smash this jobber and you're just like, oh God.
Yeah.
So I think,
case in point, that guy, I forgot his name already, but maybe we'll see more of him and find out. But this guy that obviously clearly has this MMA background, come in and showcase his actual in-ring wrestling abilities first before you ever get to know anything about him as a character or as a personality. He can literally just be a badass. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's place for that in wrestling.
I think there absolutely is. Well, and you have to be a credible badass in wrestling. I think that's the thing that a lot of people lose is the credibility.
For sure.
So you can build up anybody, but at some point they have to deliver.
Yep.
So I don't know. I think that there's a really good way to do it, and there's a really easy way to fuck it up.
I'd agree with that. It's so far, I wouldn't say I'm impressed, but I like the potential.
Yeah. I don't hate it. I don't mind tuning into Raw and seeing something different.
And I think you hit on something there, because if it were its own independent show, like something on YouTube or a main event network exclusive
or a Velocity
thing,
or like
right, it wouldn't work like that for me. I think it kind of has to be like, and I like that they did most of it, if not all of it. It was all of it in the third hour of Raw on Monday, rather than like, because it makes it feel a little more gritty, like, oh, after 10 o'clock, right? You know, when you
that's what it used to be, right? It was Raw is War and then War Zone or whatever.
Absolutely.
Like, that's how they build it. Is so like the first hour is a little bit more family friendly, and the second hour is just like, could be a little edgy. You might see a side boob. Yeah, I don't think if they marketed it like Shotgun Saturday Night 2.0 that it would work for me.
No, I'm the same.
I think that the way it is now is you can give me little bits of it. Like a little goes a long way with something like this.
And 2 to 3 small segments is probably all you need to do. Maybe like 15 minutes tops on a 3-hour show. It's not asking too much. It's like, for any of the haters of it right now, how much is it really detracting and taking away from the wonderful wrestling and storytelling going on Monday Night Raw? Like, it's not.
Exactly the point.
Yeah.
Is that it is not. And the fact that it's entertaining. Like, you could shit on it if you want to, but we could literally shit on everything in wrestling if we want to, and there's no fun in that.
No, absolutely not.
So, like, I don't know, until they really stuff it up something, really fierce, I'm going to continue to be like, all right, show me what you got. Because it's just like, I don't know. It's
different,
just like,
and that's enough right now. Something different is refreshing in its own weird way.
Right.
So, yeah, I kind of hope they never have, like, an underground belt. I kind of hope that it never really gets to that. Maybe you could do a tournament-style thing. Like, I wouldn't be completely against that.
I wouldn't be either. You get into, like, the brawl-for-all kind of vibe with that.
Right.
I do not think there needs to be a belt.
No.
Like, I think that it's just you're fighting to fight.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's kind of what it needs to be. It kind of needs to be if I can, like, no, this is just, I am fighting just to show you how badass I am, and, like, I'm putting you on notice.
And I don't even mind the Shane McMahon thing, basically doing kind of the quick commentary, little, like, things on the side of the ring. I don't even really mind that, to be honest. I thought it would bother me at first, but you definitely don't need the Raw commentators commentating on Underground. I think you definitely need it to be different, and either you have no commentary whatsoever, which that might feel a little bit like, that find me like a little bland, or a little bit, it would feel a little
and then you just
empty.
get all the crowd noise,
yeah,
and then like, sometimes the crowds don't say the best things, even if they're wrestlers in the crowd.
Sure.
So, or I'm sorry, performers, trainees, whomever in the crowd. But yeah, dude, like, that would not be good.
It probably doesn't need to be Shane forever. They might need to have someone else, eventually kind of step in there. And I was going to ask you if there was somebody else to take over that kind of mantle, that position, who would you have do it? Because I got a couple, like, thoughts on it in my head, but
I mean, really, in my mind, there is only one answer.
Go.
And me.
Yeah.
There's really no other choice to be leading the the voice of the underground fight club that is Raw Underground, Need for Speed 2.
That's fair.
I don't know. I think if Corey wasn't such a bitch,
you could probably do him. Yeah.
You could probably do him.
I was going to say, and I know he's not with the WWE currently, but I was thinking Bubba Ray Dudley.
Mick Foley. Oh.
Bubba Ray Dudley might feel like good in that role. Mick Foley could do it, but he's almost too nice. I don't know if that would work.
He is too nice until, like, dude, he's too nice until he's not.
Yeah,
like when Foley cuts one of those like really impassioned promos, he can still pull that off.
If he wasn't with AEW, Taz would have been great for this.
Yeah. Taz would have been actually ideal for that.
Yeah. Did you hear about Ken Shamrock's comments on it?
I did.
And part of me's like, okay, it's never going to happen. Obviously, Ken Shamrock being an Impact guy now. But would we not kind of enjoy seeing Ken Shamrock in like the Raw Underground match?
We know from personal experience in the last 2 year, right?
Yeah.
Was it last
just over a year?
Yeah. So in the last 15 months, we can personally vouch for the fact that fucking Ken Shamrock still scares the fuck out of us.
Yes, absolutely he does.
In his Affliction jeans and Affliction shirt and just looking like I do not want to be here, and the first mark that comes up to me that gives me the wrong kind of attitude, I'm just gonna snap his neck.
Yeah.
Like that was the vibe that Ken Shamrock gave me
while at Starcast, exactly. And is a 50-plus-year-old man.
Yeah. And I'm still not convinced that he couldn't have killed you, me, and Matthew all at the same time.
Even if we had baseball bats, he could still probably do it.
Yeah.
I mean,
definitely, because I'm a lefty. You haven't probably swung a baseball bat in God knows how long.
Yeah, give me a hockey
Matthew's
stick.
Canadian, he'd be okay.
Yeah. But no, his comments were interesting though, in the fact that he was shitting on it. That's not lie. I mean, he was not talking very positively about the concept of Raw Underground, and he thought that the fights looked, I guess, too fake. That he's a great guy, obviously, when it comes to making a worked fight look like a shoot. And he's like, WWE, basically, if you need me, to come in and kind of, give it some realism, then
Ken, we do need you, but we don't need you for that.
No, we really don't. No.
Like, I don't know. Look, Shane is enough.
Yeah.
Don't give me any old guard WWE.
No, you're probably right.
For this. Like, let it be new, let it be fresh. If you're gonna do if you're gonna bring in a new voice, bring in a new voice.
A newer guy, that maybe has some of that background or something that has. They've got quite a few. I mean, and even guys that we probably don't even know that they're probably, just don't put Byron Saxton in the Raw Underground is all I'm asking.
No, poor Byron. Everybody hates Byron.
I don't hate him as much as I did, but he's not as bad as all that.
Byron's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Byron's firing.
Yeah.
Byron.
Yeah,
he's just the whipping boy, right? Yeah. And like, I don't know, Corey is just like a twatty bully. You know what I mean? Like,
and good in his role, in his own right. He's good in his role.
He is. Sometimes he's better than others. It's just like I know what you're trying to do, and you're almost hitting it for me, but you're not quite hitting it for me.
He wants to be the Weasel. And will never quite be.
Wants to be Bobby fucking Heenan, and it will never happen.
No.
Like, look, I get it, right? You're trying to play that heel advocate, and like, but
he sort of flip-flops on it too, though, which is so weird. Like, he's never been a complete heel commentator. Like, he's always kind of like gone back and forth with who he supports and who he doesn't. It's definitely been strange.
You know who is a fucking underrated heel commentator? Jesse Ventura.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
God,
you watch some of those old
even...
matches, like absolutely. When it was him and Vince for the most part, right?
Him and Vince, or him and Gorilla Monsoon.
Yeah. Yep.
Like those two were really good together. I love Brain and Gorilla. Like those are my all-time favorite.
I mean, that's the duo of all duos, really.
In my opinion, I'm sure that there are other people that would argue that, right? Like,
I mean, JR and King would probably be the next closest to something as iconic as that, I suppose.
Sure, but even some people are gonna, JR and Michael Cole, or Michael Cole and Bradshaw. Like, it's a different pair of voices for like all these different generations, right?
True.
But Jesse Ventura, man, like, he was just so out there even then.
Well, yeah, he's definitely not changed that part about it.
No. But he wasn't talking about any of that weird shit. Yeah. But he was just so like, wow, you really do lay out exactly why the heel would do the things that they're doing.
Good storytelling. Like, help tell the story of the match.
Well, and help explain. It's just like, no, it's not. Like, look, you might look at it as cheating, but it's just like, it's not really cheating. He's just gaining an unethical advantage. Mm-hmm. Shit like that. And dude, like, I love a good heel commentator, and I want Graves to get there. He's just like, he doesn't always hit it. He hits it a lot, not all the time.
Yeah. Before we go any further, and just to change subjects, we do have to say, rest in peace, Kamala.
Oh man, I'm gonna slap my belly.
Yeah, exactly.
For Kamala.
Weirdly, is
that gonna get us thrown off Twitch?
I think we're okay with that, as long as there's
I didn't show any nipples.
Yeah, so as long as we got no nips, I think we're good.
No nips, no nippity doo does.
It's a sad one, because it seemed like, realistically, he's had obviously a lot of health issues in his later years.
I think they started a GoFundMe for funeral expenses through Pro Wrestling Tees.
Jericho donated $5,000 to it.
Good for him.
Yeah, Jericho hopped on that, which we'll get to him in a little bit. But
I wonder if Hogan donated to it.
Oh, probably not. Probably not. Oh. Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be a bad PR move just to do it, to be honest with you. But...
Well, Kamala was one of his opponents at one point, right?
Yep.
I mean, yeah. Hakeem the African Dream is still alive.
Yeah, that's true too. That's true. and from everything that I've heard, like every report that's come out about Kamala, is everyone said he's like the sweetest human being. Like, it's such the nicest guy.
Super, super good guy. Yep.
I actually didn't realize until you said it, and I did a little research, of course, on it when you did, that he had he'd lost both his legs, essentially. Like he was wheelchair bound. I think it was diabetes that took out. He had to have both his legs amputated.
It's gonna happen to our friend Ty.
Yeah, more than likely.
He's gonna get amputated from the taint down.
Exactly. That's for a whole nother podcast, though. Yeah. So it's real sad. I'm happy to see so many wrestlers come out and say so many good things about him.
Right.
It's obviously such a nice guy. Have they said officially what? Have they said what officially took him out? Or
I don't think so. Probably being old and diabetes. And just 2020.
Yeah, complications from diabetes, and I'm sure had a lot to do with it. But yeah, he obviously fun. I don't know. Fun fact, not obvious, but if you know anything about wrestling, figures, there is a specific Kamala wrestling figure that I believe is
the Kamala Hasbro.
Yeah, the Kamala Hasbro that I believe is one of the most sought after rare figures, and there's two different versions. I think one's got a moon, one's got a star. I can't remember which
It's all about whatever the paint is.
Yeah, on his belly. Yeah, on his chest or belly that he had.
So I don't know the story behind it. I had a
Kamala. I don't think it was the one. It was probably the more, common version.
The more common one. Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know why that was such a thing. I didn't know that we were going to be biting on Cardona and Hawkins.
No, we're not biting on anybody. I just wanted to mention that, like, of all people to have this rare, very desirable Kamala, exactly.
Yeah.
And now we have a vice president candidate with the same name, and you're gonna all the jokes are already coming with all that. God damn it!
Yep.
He had to die in the same week.
People are terrible.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
Well, I mean, and like you talk about figures, like AEW has their figures out now.
Yes, they do, which I'm into. They look really cool.
The belt looks really cool.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The belt looks really cool, and I'm just like, I like it. I don't want to buy it. It's only $20, but
in these times where
we're
both
trying times,
both unemployed, buying wrestling figures and wrestling belts is probably not the top of where our funds should be going. So I'll wait a little bit. Maybe I'll get a couple for Christmas if I'm lucky. Maybe Santa will help me out. But yeah,
I think the figures are 20 or 25 a piece. Like
those are pretty pricey.
Salty.
Yeah, that's really pricey.
Maybe they're 20, maybe they're $19.99, but I'm like, that's pretty salty for an action figure.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's not something I can really justify at this moment, even as much as I would probably like. I'd like to have like the original lineup of the Bucks and Kenny and like Jericho, like the original starting out, the guys that kind of built or AEW in the early stages.
Shit, the Lucha Brothers have one.
Really?
Too? Aren't I thought so?
Oh, I didn't know
that's
that.
Maybe they have figures with something else.
They might be like the next series coming out too, because
no. I think it might be like it's one of the Lucha companies, Master Public or some shit. I don't know.
Right.
It's something that I've seen while I was high on Instagram.
Yeah. Or watching Matt Cardona's, podcast.
Have you ever watched that?
On occasion. I don't watch them all because I'm not that into collecting wrestling memorabilia or figures. But
I think I've watched one. I think I watched his review of Star Wars Galaxy's Edge.
See, I watched one where he did a very in-depth thing on the Hasbros, which I have an affinity for. So I think I've seen that, but that's more or less where I draw the line on it. Yeah. Just, again, not my thing, but it does lend itself to us talking about his debut, of course, on AEW. On Dynamite.
With the flying teabag last week.
Yeah, with the flying teabag last week. What do they do with him? That's like literally what I had in my notes. What the hell do they do with, Matt Cardona?
Team him up with Cody,
or have him, have him beat Cody maybe, or have a feud there. I like Zack Ryder enough. I like Matt enough, but I don't know that they most certainly did not need to sign him, in my opinion.
Correct.
Was.
I would agree with that.
I'm happy he has a job. I'm happy that he's working. I think he could have probably done enough stuff on the indies to do just fine. I just don't know where you slot him in other than being just kind of another mid-card guy, which he more or less was in the previous company.
Well, also, I think that Cardona wasn't hurting financially, having been with WWE for as long as he has.
Oh, he probably had a pretty good deal over the years.
He had a very good deal over the years, right? Like he and his podcast probably pulls in a good amount of money as well.
Yep, good point.
So he was not hurting. So this is, I would assume he's not hurting. I don't know his finances, and I wouldn't presume to know his finances. However,
he also seems like a person that might live a little bit beyond his means at times. Like
I did see him the opening morning of Star Wars: Rise of the Resistance at Disney's Hollywood Studios in December at like fucking 5:30 in the morning, and he already had 2 giant bags full of exclusive $100 toys before anybody had even gotten into the land. So that was just like the shit that they were selling in the outside of the park. And Chelsea looked so annoyed because we were going to the
Chelsea
bathroom,
Green, if you don't know, are they engaged or
they're engaged?
They're engaged. Yeah.
So she was sitting there on the curb, just kind of sitting there like, why the fuck am I here? And I was hitting my pen and waiting for Kelsey to get out of the bathroom. And I was like, I swear that's Chelsea Green. And she and then I see Cardona come out and he's just like, all right, babe. So what, you going to go? And it was just like straight up total.
He was the bro.
And she just looked so annoyed by like, you dragged me here at 5 o'clock in the morning, because we got there at like 4:30 in the morning,
right?
You know what I mean? So I know that they were in there around the same time that we were, so it's like, okay,
yeah.
But yeah, so like, trust me, if I had Cardona money, I would have a lot more dumb shit than I already do have.
For sure.
So,
and this was prior to him getting laid off as well, too, right?
Oh, this was in December. It was the world had not started unraveling yet.
Right.
I do not know what the fuck you do with him. I also think that if you're doing this burn to a new 4 Horsemen, that it's gonna obviously be FTR, Cody,
Hangman.
Yeah,
he doesn't fit in that at all. Even if like Hangman wasn't an option, I still think there would be better options on that roster right now than
they're trying to swerve it and have people think that it's going to be Shawn Spears.
Yeah.
And I like that swerve idea, but we see through that.
Cardona does not fit in that role though, as a 4 Horseman type character.
And that's why I don't know what you do with him.
Right.
Like, that's why I don't know what you like.
Yeah.
I don't know where he fits, man. Like, he could go for the TNT championship, but like, whoever takes that from Cody is going to be like, they're going to try and make a big star with that.
And
I know that
he just doesn't feel like that guy to me. He just doesn't.
He doesn't. Scorpio Sky is more of that guy.
100%. 100%. Any 3 of SCU, to be honest with you, would work better 100%. In that role.
Yep.
Dude, I don't mind
that match with Scorpio Sky is going to be a banger.
Oh, it will. It absolutely will. I don't think he'll take it, but I think he'll.
Nope.
But
he won't.
But it will be. It'll be a great showcase for him. Not that he's at this point, he doesn't even really need that, like, because he's had so many good ones, but another one can't hurt. I think it annoys me a little bit with the Matt Cardona situation, because when it all went down, a lot of people tweeted Cody and said, you know, oh, clearly you're going to sign Matt Cardona. He's your buddy and all this sort of stuff. And he's like, we can't have it be all friends wrestling or something along those lines. And yeah, I guess, you're trying to swerve a little bit, but
then you immediately made it all friends wrestling.
Yeah, you immediately just did it. So a little bit torn on kind of how I feel about that situation. I can't blame him. He looked good. He looked in real great shape. He obviously, been working out since he got, laid off. So
looked very, very tan.
He did. But remains to be seen. I just don't have extremely high hopes is my point on that one.
No.
Moving forward a little bit here, we touched on it at the top of the show with Retribution, which I think is one of the biggest storylines going on in WWE at the moment.
Yes.
And I like how we saw them first kind of appear on Raw and then have a big impact on this week's SmackDown before then appearing on Raw again. I like that they are using them on multiple brands. I think that keeps options open. It keeps us as fans guessing as to who it would be. First off, I loved what they did on STL. We talked about it. Like, I thought it was really cool. Like, it was a good little invasion thing that they did with the baseball bats and crowbars and the spray paint and the chainsaw. Yeah. Yeah. I love Cody. Or not, I did it again now. Corey Graves. Almost
that's my fault.
Almost like tripping over himself, like running out, like as they chased off the announcers. I thought that was kind of cool. I think there's promise there. Do you want it to be like all new people, like NXT guys or guys we haven't seen on Raw or SmackDown? Do we incorporate people that are currently working on the roster? Do we use people perhaps that we haven't seen in a while because of COVID? Where do you stand on what you do with it?
That's a tough one, because as much as my immediate instinct is to say I want it to be all new people.
Mm-hmm.
If it's all new people,
why did we just fire so many people as well?
No, not that, but they're going to get lost in the shuffle.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I know you've read as well as I've read that they're already starting to bring some of those people back under much less generous contracts, I've heard.
Right, but for some of them it would make sense. Let's be real.
Absolutely. Right. I totally get it. Like, I have an insight as to what they start trainees at.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's just like, oh, okay.
Are those people not getting that much more than them? I mean, I'm sure they are, but not,
I'm sure once you make TV, you make more money.
Sure.
But once you hit main roster, the money is very different.
So do you think they play into the Black Wednesday scenario and maybe have a couple of those people involved in that group?
That would make sense. You're calling it Retribution.
Yep. It does kind of make sense storyline.
But okay, but who's it gonna be?
Yeah.
That's the real thing, because so many of those people have already signed elsewhere.
Right. And as much as
what if it's fucking Rusev, bro?
Yeah, but as much as we said that, like, they're not using people that per se that are going to be the end all characters in that, you've got to have kind of guys that look a little bit like that, and there's no guy there.
I don't think you do. I don't think you
don't think so?
I think it's wrestling and nobody gives a shit.
You're probably right there. I mean, I do.
We would nitpick it apart because it's a fucking, like, we're smarks, and that's what we do.
Right. I want to see Rusev be successful no matter where he goes. I think he would have a wonderful career in New Japan if he wanted it. I think he would be a great fit actually for AEW. Those are where I would prefer him to go, but if he were to sign, I'd be happy for him.
Exactly. And I mean, his wife's still there. Why wouldn't he want to still be working with his wife? I think you have a way. You could have a No Way Jose who's like got a new gimmick. I know that sounds so underwhelming, but him appearing back with like a totally new look and new gimmick, and could actually have like way more of an impact than he's ever had on either NXT or the main roster. What if they went to people that were fired by WWE, not just on Black Wednesday?
Ooh.
But
prior to that, like in general, use it to their advantage.
I don't know
who is on that list though. Like I guess that's all that.
Yeah, like Del Rio.
Fuck
but you
that.
wouldn't want to see him back.
No. The next one that popped in my head was Austin Aries. I definitely don't want to see him back. He's
Fuck him forever.
Enzo or Cass.
Ryback?
You could maybe do Cass.
Maybe.
Ryback,
I doubt it.
Ryback you might be able to do.
I don't see Ryback or Cass, really. Like, I say Ryback, but I don't see Ryback happening. I guess Punk would be the ultimate.
Yeah.
But you don't waste that reveal without a crowd.
Hell no, you don't. Hell no, you can't.
And that's kind of why I'm just like, what is the point of this if there's no crowds? Is this going to build to SummerSlam? Like, are they going to do SummerSlam in New Jersey like I've read?
Right. Atlantic City perhaps, something like that was the rumor.
Did you see Warrior Wrestling and what they did this past week?
I did not.
So they called it Friday Night Lights, and they literally put a ring on the 50-yard line of a high school football field, it looked like, and they had people socially distanced out. Every group was socially distanced out.
I don't hate that at all.
People brought their own chairs, and they brought their own they brought their own like some people had an inflatable couch and all sorts of
bring
shit
your own
like
cooler type shit or something too.
I guess. And then they had some people in the stands off on either side. Like, there wasn't a video screen or anything like that, but you're watching wrestling in a socially distanced atmosphere.
Not the worst.
Warhorse was there.
Of course he was. Our boy.
That's it. We love Warhorse. We're all about Warhorse because he rules ass.
Maybe like a Nexus-ish type thing, but then, who could really do that other than Stu Barrett,
Stu Bennett,
my bad. Yeah.
Wade Barrett.
Barrett.
You were doing I know both. What you were. It's fine. I do it all the time.
And he seems so tied to TNA, or not TNA, but NWA that feels unlikely there.
But who would it? Man, it's gonna be. This is a good guessing game, right?
It really is.
I like playing this guessing game because I have legitimately no idea who it's gonna fucking be.
And as maybe the weeks go on, and as even the show goes on tonight, if one pops in your head, feel free to just be like, "Ooh," and shout it out. Because
I read somebody say that they're whatever social media is thinking that it may be Dominik Dijakovic, like we talked about.
Yeah.
And potentially Ciampa. And I know that Ciampa does not want to go up to the main roster. Mm-hmm. He has been very, very vocal and adamant about not wanting to go on to the main roster. But
especially after that last run when they tried to bring him and Gargano up, it clearly.
I mean, he got hurt.
Yeah,
so...
but even before that, it's not like they were using them well.
No, but you look at how they were using them in NXT. So I don't know. It's a very interesting scenario to think about that it could be those guys. I wouldn't hate Dijakovic, but Retribution doesn't make any sense.
No.
So it's why are we calling it Retribution? Why?
Unless it's guys that are a little bit, scorned by the WWE, that it's our, shit now, we're taking it over, all that. They've got to have a reason,
Yes.
One would think.
There has to be some sort of cohesion to why we're calling it Retribution and what we're fucking doing with it.
100%.
So,
yeah, it's a weird one. It's definitely a weird one. You're talking about what promotion was it that you just said had that Friday Night Lights?
Warrior Wrestling.
Not super familiar with that at all. I think I might have seen the name.
It's a fairly independent one.
Mm-hmm.
Their logo looks kind of like a Spartan-ish wing helmet a little bit. But yeah, if Matthew was here, he'd be looking it up.
Yeah, sure.
I can't send you things nearly as efficiently.
I mean, it doesn't really matter. The only reason I brought that back up was because, not to say it's an independent anymore, but it most certainly isn't. It's just the smaller of the pro wrestling, I would assume, in this day and age, with Ring of Honor announcing shows. You sent me that earlier today, so
yep.
Fill us in with that.
Oh, well, I sent it to you and I can't actually read it right now. But so the long and short of it is that Ring of Honor is going to be resuming tapings in Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
From everything I read, it was like
starting this month, I think they said, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they will have fans in attendance, but obviously I think it'll be a socially distanced thing. Masks and temperature checks and all that stuff, but in the interest of running their promotion, you know what I mean? And it honestly, though, it makes sense. You have to at some point start
the slow process of hey, we'll start at 25% and just kind of get it's what they're doing in Japan. It's what they're doing in other places around the world. So, I don't know that we're in America on that level with COVID yet to really start, but at some point
we are definitely not, but we aren't gonna dude, we're fucked until there's a vaccine and we all know it.
Yep.
So it's just going to be can you survive until that is a thing? Mm-hmm. So whatever, because 2/3 of us will get jabbed with it and go about our lives, and then a third won't, and that'll be that. But
it'll be interesting to see what they do with Marty, Marty Scurll when they come back with Ring of Honor. I've tending to believe that they haven't said anything about it really, and they haven't necessarily, they've most certainly not laid him off. So
they have not separated.
One would assume that he'll be back, and I'm good for Marty. Weather the storm. Whether they bring him back right away or they wait a little while, I guess that's what I'm trying to say, is that he'll be back eventually. It's just a matter of when, I suppose.
Sure.
So I
don't know. That's a tough one, I guess. It's just, once again, tough situation. I would imagine that he'll be back, but I think the thing about Marty is he doesn't need to come back right away.
I don't think. Yeah, I'm in agreement with you there. It's not
I think that he could chill for a little while. Fuck it, dude. He could chill for a while if he wanted to.
And you almost definitely want to bring him back in front of a pretty big crowd.
I would think so. I would definitely think so. You bring him back in front of a crowd because the crowd is going to most likely be friendly to him.
They will.
Because so. I don't know. I think it's good to bring back Ring of Honor and bring back wrestling in general.
What it's probably not good to do is what Chris Jericho and Fozzy went and did at the, the Sturgis Bike Fest or something?
Yes, Bike Week, Sturgis, South Dakota.
Yeah.
So there's a big bike week in Daytona.
Mm-hmm.
Right, but it's nothing compared to Bike Week in Sturgis.
I've heard it's an absolute shit show. It's crazy out there,
dude. And it's the fucking, it's less than a mile long of a fucking strip that just thousands upon thousands of bikers descend upon every year.
We all know they're the cleanest, most mask-wearing, hand sanitizer.
No, and
people.
They practice good personal hygiene and they socially distance.
100%.
In these skeevy ass dive bars.
Yeah.
Dude, and I was watching some of the video and I'm just oh my fucking God.
Yeah.
What? So they always have live music there. And to be fair, they're not the only ones that were playing there. Hang on, I will look that up.
We know a couple right off the top of our heads.
Well,
we know
yes,
we know Smash Mouth, of course.
Oh man, and they took the stage and they said, "Fuck that COVID."
Yeah, they didn't exactly respond. I don't know, in the best way. And then the band Trapped.
First of all, they're not really a band.
Are they not?
I mean, no, they're terrible. They don't deserve anybody. Their new album sold 600 fucking albums.
What was their big song? Trapped.
It's called Headstrong. And don't do it because don't do it because you're singing you're giving a bootlicker fucking and a red hat wearing dipshit like he is one of the worst kind of fucking people.
Gotcha.
Also thought it was a good idea to fuck around and talk shit about Ice-T and Danny Diablo, and I'm kind of surprised he's still alive.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that. Not two people I would fuck with.
Not two people I would fuck with at all. This is great. It says this was 23 hours ago. 84 arrests, 226 citations, and 18 crashes reported in 24 hours at Sturgis. So it's good. It's very good.
So not a great look for Jericho and Fozzy to be playing this
for Jericho. No. And he tried to say some bullshit like they are they were socially distanced and all of this. And I'm just like,
he might have been like, of course, more than like the fans and stuff, but you're still like, you're inciting a gathering at that point, right? Like
this fucking lineup, bro.
Oh, is it trash?
Oh my God.
Is it all the trash? Go through it. Go through them.
I mean, I kind of need, I want to go. All right. So I'm just going to, Molly Hatchet.
Oh, wow.
The Guess Who.
Okay.
Adelita's Way. Chancey Williams. I don't know what that is. Trapped already happened. Colt Ford.
No.
That and his, Smash Mouth, Fozzy, Night Ranger. Kenny Wayne Shepherd Band. I thought Kenny Wayne Shepherd would be smarter. Let's see. Buck Cherry. There's the LFC Lingerie Fighting Championships 30. That's happening right now, Owen, and we're not there.
What is this?
The Lingerie Fighting Championship.
Oh, okay. I forgot. I fell off. I was a big fan a couple years ago, but I fell off. I stopped following it.
Followed or preceded by Saliva and then Flaw.
Wait, didn't the guy from Saliva die? Oh wait, no, that was Drowning Pool.
That was Drowning Pool. They're playing there too. And then I'm not even kidding. It's literally the next.
Really? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Drowning
Pool.
Oh Jesus.
I've worked for Drowning Pool. This was well after Dave died.
Oh, okay.
And then Hairball, a Twisted Sister cover band, like a tribute band. Lit. 38 Special. Jackal. Fucking Jackal. Quiet Riot. Reverend Horton Heat. No.
Yeah, well, no, he's been very vocal about it. He's not ever stopped doing shows, bro. He came and did one, I think, in town, and Will's Pub wouldn't let him play, so he ended up having to go do somewhere else. And it's
amazing.
Yeah. Reverend Horton Heat's been like,
a total idiot.
Yeah, total idiot with COVID this whole time.
Bone Thugs and Harmony closes out the weekend.
Yes, God damn it. That's probably the only act I want to see there.
You want to see him at the Crossroads?
I do. I mean,
a
lot of people are going to be going to the Crossroads, I think, after this. But
dude,
it's back to the wrestling, back to Jericho, back to Fozzy. Do they now, like, realistically, if I'm AEW, I'm going to be a little bit pissed off. And, like,
how are you not? Because you know that he's going to be at, I don't know if they recorded TV, if they recorded this week's episode already, or if they recorded
that's a good
tomorrow.
question. That's a real good question, because that that makes a big difference. If he taped it before he left and had like 2 weeks after this, then I'm a little less mad if I'm Tony Khan. But if you are coming to my tapings after going to this festival, even though
5 days after,
even though you're the celebrity, you're more than likely going to be, of course, more social distanced than anybody.
Yeah, but like you're still, I've seen the pictures of what like the stage was.
Yeah.
There was no social distancing. Everybody was crammed in and like screaming at him like it was just any other rock show.
Yep.
Like, so you can't say that that's not still an exposure risk.
Yep, you're right. You are right.
Because he's singing, people are singing back at him. All these fucking, it's going, all that shit. That's how I understand the virus to work.
Well, yeah.
As
it's airborne. I mean, that's the majority of the cases come from airborne cases. That's why we wear masks. That's, you know, what.
And this is what I'm saying. Like, having been in so many concerts in small venues, especially when they're packed, like, you can feel the breath.
Not only
people are
absolutely. Screaming. I mean, I've worked shows in you know, the Beacham and clubs downtown Orlando where it's literally like raining from the ceiling from the heat coming off of people's voices and their bodies and just the you can cut the air with a knife because of how the vapor and the moisture in the air, how thick that is. Like it can't be a good thing. I wonder how they'll deal with it with AEW, and I think it's a little suspect. And
it was kind of jackassy on Jericho's part, right?
It is. Like we all understand like your band's like a big part of your life and everything, but when you're this big of a role in AEW.
Dude, you are putting so many people at risk unnecessarily.
Exactly what I was going to say, yep.
Like, fuck, man. Like, that's not funny or fair.
No, it isn't.
Like, I don't understand how, like, dude, if I was Tony Khan, I would be so pissed. I'd be like, are you fucking kidding me? Why?
And on the heels of a segment that I really, really did enjoy last week, the Bischoff hosted debate between Chris Jericho and Orange Cassidy.
Orange Cassidy, yeah.
Which promises to be another really good match. It's kind of cool to see Cassidy taking a little bit more of, not a serious side, but taking it a little more seriously, I suppose, like in a match, not being just the I'd give no fucks, hands in my pockets. I mean, that's even one of the things that he said in the debate was that it's going to be interesting when the guy that, you know, keeps his hands in his pockets beats you, Chris Jericho, that type of thing. So they're obviously, they're putting a lot of stock in this match with two of their biggest stars. So to jeopardize that, maybe they've already taped it. Maybe they already have. It is a possibility, but if they haven't, I'm gonna be a little bit pissed at that as well. And regardless, like you still have to do follow up at some point with all that. What did you think of the whole Bischoff, bringing Bischoff in for that?
I thought it was a great use of Bischoff in a non-authority role.
Yes.
Like, I love Bischoff. I think that he's a great character. I don't need Eric Bischoff to be an authority figure anymore.
I think that's exactly where we both stand on it. I wouldn't mind seeing him pop up here and there and, you know, have a little role on occasion, maybe even have a backstage role in helping, you know, develop some stuff like that. I wouldn't be, you know, mad about, but again, like, just like you said, we don't need a commissioner or general manager in Eric Bischoff. Like that's something I truly hope they stay away from. But it was good to see him on TV again, and he did a great job in the debate.
Agreed to both.
What else do we have? Sticking on AEW's Dynamite from last week, the chair shot heard around the world.
Oh, man.
From Sammy Guevara, apparently throwing the wrong chair at Matt Hardy. Like maybe there was a gimmicked chair that he was supposed to throw and picked the wrong one. I don't know if you heard that report. There was some stuff coming out about that. I don't know if I believe
guess.
it. Like, I don't know.
I don't. No, because that doesn't really seem like something that they do. Like, what are they gonna do? Like, have a chair that like visibly looks like
is lighter, maybe, or something.
I mean, the chair that he picked up, like when you see that fucking flying at him, you're just like, oh shit, like that's not a regular folding chair.
No, that was one of those like thicker, like heavier ones.
It was like a VIP
100% chair. Yeah, those are probably. All right, so how much do you think a standard folding chair, metal chair weighs? Like 5 pounds?
I think it's like eight pounds,
maybe. Okay.
Yeah.
Those would be then in the equivalence of like 15 pounds. If you're calling one 8, the other would be 15 to, you know, at least 7-8 pounds heavier. Gotta be. If
folding
not more.
Chairs typically weigh from 4.4 to 11 pounds.
Okay, so yeah, your standard folding chair is probably 5 pounds. This is gonna be like more on the, I would say, the 11-12 pound range. And
I would say the one that he threw was probably 15 to 20.
You're not wrong. I think you might be right.
Because dude, those chairs are heavy.
Yeah, they are. For like, you don't want to take one of those to the head. There's a reason that they don't use those ever. You know, maybe...
and especially like the way it looked like it was coming, like it was coming, and by the time Matt Hardy realized that it was a bigger chair, like he put his hands up, but the velocity was still too much to stop. I was like, fuck.
They've done some interesting things with this, and at first I'm like, I'm not 100% convinced this isn't something Matt okayed as kind of a work to develop something. And I hate being that guy to be like, oh, work, it's, you know, like all that. But I can see if it was anybody other than Matt Hardy and Sammy Guevara, who's coming off like kind of a controversy to begin with, to use that to their advantage, to kind of, now we've got something else to get attention away from that. Now Sammy's the unsafe worker. There's a reason for us to get more heat on him. There are storyline reasons that I could see them doing it. And because it's Matt Hardy that can take that, let's just be real, who's done it a million times. I mean, I'm not saying he should by any means. Probably shouldn't, because he's taken it so many times. But you get my point, right? Like that this isn't his first trip to the rodeo. It did feel like there's something kind of off about it to me in general, and it might just be coincidence because of the two people involved.
Right. Yeah, and you may be right. I'm so hesitant to think that anything in wrestling is a legit accident and isn't a work.
Right.
So
you get my point. And he was on, Matt Hardy was on Being the Elite today or yesterday.
Whenever it dropped yesterday.
Yesterday, exactly. Referencing it completely. You know, if it's like
more
something
likely, I feel like it's more likely to be a work.
Yeah.
Although
it looked bad. Yeah.
Dude, that was a pretty big fucking gouge in his forehead.
Yeah, you can only work that so much, right? Like that's a.
Oh no, he was busted open hard way for sure.
Absolutely was. But that's not something. I'm not saying that was fake in the slightest. Trust me, wrestling fans. I'm not that dumb. I just think that they're making lemonade out of lemons, you know, because of the situation, or it was sort of planned to do something a little bit more extreme as to get some heat on Sammy and to develop something. He wouldn't be, I'm not going to say joking about it, but he wouldn't be referencing it so heavy on Being the Elite and then talking about it on Twitter if there wasn't something a little more angle related in my mind.
A little bit more work-ish.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm with you.
All right, good.
I'm definitely with you.
All right, I'm glad we're on the same page on that, because that one was a tough one. Can't believe we've gotten this far into the show, bro, and we haven't even mentioned the biggest story from last week, which I know it seems like old news to us now, but it is and it isn't. We have to talk a little bit about Marty Jannetty, man.
Oh, yeah. I was like, what are we talking about? I'm like, you already talked about. Oh, that was on the other show.
Yeah, sure was. We haven't talked about it on Oh No Wrestling, where it belongs.
Man.
Yeah.
First of all, by now everybody knows, right? And this is what happens every time. We do a show, we post the show. Show typically hits Wednesday morning for anybody who isn't an insomniac.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, you listen to the show, and then by the time you're done listening to the show on Wednesday, a whole fucking avalanche of new shit has happened, and then it seems like we're behind the times. We're not behind the times. We're in front of the curve.
Yeah.
And that's just what fucking happens.
Well, it's, also there's a reason we do the show on Tuesdays, because we don't want to miss, let's be real. Like, there's
only one other. What day are we going to do the show? On Saturday?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what the fuck? Like, we had to pick a day.
We had to pick a day.
Thursdays were already taken.
So Tuesdays is exactly what it was.
Tuesdays it is, exactly.
And even if you were to pick Saturday, there's plenty of pay-per-views now that fall on Saturdays.
Oh shit, All Out will be on a Saturday.
All Out will be on a Saturday. So, it's Tuesday really is, and when NWA was, up, like, they were doing shows on Tuesdays. We've got AEW Dark and Impact on Tuesdays as well. So it's not like we're not missing out on some wrestling, but in this day and age in 2020, there really isn't a day that you can do it and not miss something. So
it's very true.
That's why we fell on this day. And with the Marty Jannetty thing, it just happened to fall on that following day. It was and
for him to just be so flippant about that was the first time I ever disappeared somebody. I'm just like,
doesn't that mean
Marty? I'm like, I know what that means. I'm like, but wait, Marty. And then he went on for a lot longer, and then he starts threatening his Jamaican girlfriend and I'm just like, what the actual fuck is happening here? So the too long don't read version of it is Marty Jannetty has killed at least one person, and I don't know if his girlfriend is still alive.
Yeah.
Has anybody seen her?
That's
has anybody
a really
confirmed?
Good question. Let's check up on her.
I know that it got an investigation opened, like, because of that so much activity. Like the police were just like, and he even said, he's just like, they should have checked the river.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, Marty, what the fuck? You
literally pretty much, openly admitted to a murder.
Yeah, and then he dropped some gay slurs and some ethnic slurs. And in it's as typical 2020 as it could possibly be.
It is, but that's acknowledge, I think, something that does need to be acknowledged, in that I think you're dealing with a very mentally unstable, kind of sick man who's had had issues.
It's
in
because
the past
he went
years.
Through a barbershop window.
Yeah.
This is all Shawn Michaels' fault.
Yeah, you're right. It is. It absolutely is. The mental scarring has just taken its toll, and finally it's showing its ugly head. And
seriously, that was the start. Like, that was the CTE moment that sent him down this path to being a Chris Benoit, even though that happened before he was a wrestler.
13 years old.
Listen. Basically, the bottom line is don't sell weed to kids or something. I don't know.
Don't try and butt fuck kids that can beat you with a brick and throw you in the Chattahoochee River.
I mean, I guess that's a good lesson to learn.
Good lesson to learn. I mean, if you're gonna do that, don't. Especially if his name's Marty Jannetty and you work at a bowling alley.
If you're gonna do that, don't. Well, first of all, if Marty Jannetty was 13 now, what the fuck happened? But his mullet would still beat yours.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's coming in. It's coming in. Don't worry. A little bit at a time. A little bit at a time.
I'm worried that you're too British and not white trash enough
for
the mullet to fully like embrace and really like root in.
We'll see. We'll see.
I know. I'm pulling for it. I really am. We're gonna have to do some.
I got
sort
Polk
of white
County
trash
going for me. I got Polk County.
Very good start.
Growing up there. I got the fact that I do a wrestling podcast in general, I think is probably going in my favor.
I mean, yes and no. There's a lot of assholes that do wrestling podcasts, and not all of them have that like natural white trash. It's like true. You've seen my beautiful mullet when it's in full
back in
bloom.
the day. Oh, back in the day. Yeah.
Magnificent. It wasn't always this bald, Stone Cold-esque.
So yeah, I don't know what happens with Marty now, other than obviously the police are looking into it, but I really just kind of hope he gets help. And
please get help.
Very well documented pill addiction, right? Back in the day, like that was something that I think we all
had a very well documented pill addiction.
And they obviously throw it in a bit of alcohol and clearly some weed, and not that that's an issue, but you know, like hey. But yeah, like this guy was no stranger to, you know, illegal substances, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And and you know, it all kind of like goes into a weird little world, and I feel I don't feel bad for him, especially if it's like true, but if it's not true and he's just kind of saying stuff to get a rise, which I know that there have been stories that he's talked about on Facebook before or social media where they've been questionable in the truth. Less than true and kind of been proven to not be. So in my heart of hearts, I kind of hope it's that, and he just needs a bit of help. Maybe it's his own weird way of reaching out. I don't know, but
we can hope. We can Jesus Christ.
Exactly. Can you tell me? Sorry, please continue.
I was going to say, can you believe that All Out is in 3.5 weeks?
I know shit, right? It's right around the corner. And SummerSlam before that. And, you know.
Yeah, and no idea where either of those two things are going to happen.
Nope. No. I'm assuming All Out at this point is probably just going to end up. I mean, they've got the Daily's Place thing. Like, they might as well just keep it there. And I'd be surprised if it's anywhere else.
Yeah, for that, I'd be surprised if it's anywhere else. WWE is apparently hell-bent on
having a live audience of some description.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I don't know. We'll see.
I wanted you to tell me a little bit more about the Brandi Rhodes controversy, because I know a little bit about it, but I think that you can help explain to our audience, because I haven't seen a ton really of coverage on this, only a little bit here and there. So yeah, I was just kind of hoping that you might be able to fill me in as to exactly what she said on Twitter. And I know it involves her basically promoting the AEW Heels Network, is I think what they're calling it.
So it's it's a
subscription service, essentially.
It's a subscription service for women's wrestling, specifically for
fans of women's wrestling.
To go along with the AEW Heels brand, right? So it's supposed to be this whole thing that's all about women's wrestling and empowerment and starting a revolution, whatever. Apparently the reason that so it was a subscription-based service for female wrestling fans, declaring it a great success. But so basically
she came under some fire, right?
she came under a lot of fire for saying that it was a huge success, even though, and people are just like, wait, so how is this a huge success when your women's division is utter garbage for the most part?
Gotten a lot better. It's not complete garbage
it's
anymore.
Still shit.
It's not great.
For the most part, it is still shit.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I wanted to be a lot more impressed by the few matches that I've seen recently than I have been, but it's just been kind of like, okay, you know what I mean? And I don't know if it's because they're not giving them enough time.
The last match I really enjoyed was the Penelope Ford match from...
See, and I just watched her tonight on Dark against Rachel Ellering, and it didn't do anything for me.
Okay.
Like, it was... I was just like,
it might have been, it might have just been like she had quite a few great spots sort of planned and like executed those perfectly on the night. But you know,
and it's not that she's bad or that any of the female roster of AEW is bad, but Brandi was basically just like, pay $50 a year to be a part of this,
right?
And people were just like, wait, so are you putting out a better product that you have to pay for than you're giving to people for free? And then Brandi, so Brandi's
it's supposed to be a
completely
different type of product. It's a lot less wrestling. It's more like Q&As, virtual meet and greets.
Well, it says her post said, our call last night allowed users to browse the full capabilities of our website community, offering messages if desired. Hosts were overwhelmed with chatter about the events and members only. You know, you're able to see exclusive new merch, pre-order exclusives, live chats. Basically, it's...
I don't think there's any wrestling on there though. Like
it doesn't really seem to be. It seems like she's kind of charging $50 for access to a website that seems kind of like a
social media club or something. Fan club is a perfect way to put it. And
she basically said that, you know, I can even give you, like, one of the perks might be that maybe Brandi would give you social media pointers. And so, but people are just like, hey, you're the chief brand officer. This is a really bad look for your brand. Yeah. You're not really, you know what I mean? Like, I could go find the Twitter threads that would articulate it. But basically, Brandi was getting dragged very hard and deleted her Twitter. Now, Cody,
which, as the chief brand officer, if you've got to delete your Twitter, you're probably not doing a great job.
It also started from the fact that Brandi put herself over in that tag team tournament,
which she's continuing to do right now and did on Dark, even, you know,
and
tonight.
And on Dark, she's like playing up how important she is because she's the only woman on the AEW roster with an action figure.
Yeah.
And like, she's gone into the, like, I think she's incapable of playing any other character other than an entitled bitch heel.
And I like her in that role, though. Like, I don't dislike Brandi.
I don't dislike Brandi. I don't like her right now.
Yeah.
Like, whatever she's doing, like, stop being like every fucking other EVP of All Elite Wrestling and stop booking yourself and putting yourself over. It's annoying. I'm so sick of it. Like, I'm really sick of it.
Well,
like,
no one else is really doing that but her.
Cody is.
Cody's the only one.
100%.
Cody's the only one, though.
Technically, Hangman and fucking
not an EVP.
Kenny are.
Not an EVP. Kenny is.
Kenny is,
but Hangman is
still putting themselves over. They're still the tag champs, right? And just because they're not actively putting themselves over on the story, like in title pictures, doesn't mean that the Bucks aren't still every bit as much of a focal point. Not that they shouldn't necessarily be, but you know what I'm saying?
I guess it's a lot more subtle in those you know, areas. I think obviously Brandi and Cody are taking that a little to the extreme. I liked it when Brandi was more just kind of supporting Cody rather than trying to put herself over. I think
I like it when Brandi is trying to not be like, look at what I have that nobody else has.
Yeah.
It's, you know, it's more about like, no, just accept the fact that I am a strong, empowered woman. Like, that's what I want Brandi to be. I don't need her to be a spoiled bitch about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it sucks too, because
she just straight up fell into the Stephanie McMahon archetype. Like, is it like as close as you possibly can?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I hate the fact that, like, I think they're going to end up winning the tag, whatever the fuck, like the cup or whatever. I feel like that's how that's going to go, and that doesn't need to happen that way. But
I'm on the fence with that one. I mean, they're clearly in the finals, I think, as of yesterday. I want to say I'll be honest, I did not watch. I have not watched that yet.
Didn't either.
I could look that up right now if you'd like, and just to see,
sure,
you know, how that and how the bracket's looking, because it is strange how they've kind of rushed through that, and that reminds me, because I think I have a couple of voicemails. Do you mind if I hop to the voicemails super quick?
No, go for it.
All right. Yeah, I think they're both from the same person, or they might not be. I don't know. Let's pull these up right here. All right, this one was from last week, and I didn't get a chance to play it, so I'll play it now and see what's going on.
Okay.
Hey, boys, this is Boudreaux calling you from the Blue Light Trailer Park here in Polk County, Florida. Let me tell you what, that Talking Shop-A-Mania was the best thing I ever did see. I hope you boys loved it and had a good time. And just keep on doing what you're doing on the show, man. We love you down here in Polk County. Peace out, good brothers.
All right.
I mean, we obviously did love Talking Shop.
We did love Talking Shop-A-Mania. And you're absolutely right. Thank you for leaving a voicemail. How do we not like it?
I literally said I was doing some insulation up on the ceiling earlier, and I was doing something. I was like, all right, shit lips. And Kelsey was just like, she's like, was that a text? And I was just like, yeah. She goes, you said it like him. I was like, yeah, I know. I was like, all right, here we go, fuck face. And then I just went back to doing work.
Is that a day that goes by that I don't quote it in some fashion or form? And since it's happened, I mean, no. I constantly,
and you usually text it to me.
That's karate shit. It's what I do.
It's what I do.
It's what I do.
That's definitely Matthew's catchphrase from Talking Shop-A-Mania.
I love it.
I love it.
I love it. Moving on, we got one more quick voicemail here.
All right, let's hear it.
Check it out.
Hey guys, it's Deuce. Hope you're having a great show.
Hey Deuce.
I just wanted to call and ask you guys about this AEW Women's Deadly Draw Tournament. Tonight was the second night. It's on at 7 o'clock on Mondays. They haven't been advertising it. They literally only have 3 matches left, the 2 semifinals and the final match. We haven't had one match on AEW proper or even on AEW Dark. What's going on? Are they just leaving this thing out here to die? What are they doing with it? Holla at your boys.
It's not.
See ya.
All right, Deuce. Well, first of all, we appreciate you.
Yeah.
Second of all, it's not gonna be.
No.
It's not gonna be on Dark. It's not gonna be on Dynamite.
I think last week I might have misspoke and said they'll probably do the finale on All Out, but that clearly seems like that's not.
Us said that, but
I think it was me. Honestly, I improperly said that, and it's clearly not going to be the case at this point.
No, I think they're trying to make it its own thing. Like they're trying. Yeah. It's just going to be another YouTube thing,
little YouTube show, and I'm not super against that either. I don't know that I hate. I think that you should have done. They should do the final maybe on like Dynamite, but
sure. But I mean, like the majority of AEW fans are going to be able to watch that. Like they're not going to have a problem hopping on YouTube.
Correct.
So like the majority of them are already set up to do so on their main television or however they watch whatever they watch.
And in Nyla Rose's words when she was confronted about it, we talked about this last week. She was like, "No, think about it the other way around. We've got our own show that women wrestling have. It might not be on television. It's a different day and age, but it's our own thing." So if you look at it from that perspective, I kind of like that too. Just to fill you guys in, if you haven't been following. In the first round, we had the Nightmare Sisters advance over Mel and Penelope Ford. Then we had Big Swole and Lil Swole advance over Leva Bates and Raish Chanel. That would have been earlier today.
Oh, poor Leva.
Anna Jay and Tay Conti. That was the first week. They advanced over Ariane Andrew and Nyla Rose. And then tonight we had Dasha and Rachel Ellering lose to Diamante and Evilise. So in the in the semifinals, we have the Nightmare Sisters versus Big Swole and Little Swole, and Anna Jay versus Tay Conti and Diamante and Evilise. So you're probably right, Duncan, in the thought process that the Nightmare Sisters will clearly advance to the finals. And if they don't win it, it would, in my mind, probably be Anna Jay and Tay Conti. But
I see. I was gonna go.
You would go.
I was gonna go Diamante Evilise.
Okay. I just think Tay Conti's got that buzz about her right now, so I was going that direction.
But Diamante is also would make fourth member of LAX technically. That would be in AEW.
That'd be kind of cool. That'd be kind of cool too. And I guess that can happen either way. I mean, it's the Nightmare Sisters are probably going to win it. Is what
I hope they don't. I hope Big and Lil Swole
have an upset or something.
Yeah, I hope there's some sort of like I don't know what I hope for. I just don't want to see.
They've, in fairness, they've been teasing the kind of like tension between what's her goddamn name, the bunny that's not the bunny anymore, Allie and Brandy this whole time. Right. So that could obviously play into them losing in the finals or even in the semis. In the finals, yeah. But it makes more sense to me for that to happen in the finals. So maybe there is hope. But it remains to be seen. At this point, they have not announced when the final will be. The semifinals are indeed next week, August 17th. But as far as I'm seeing on everything, I do not believe they have announced when the finals will take place. If it's August 17th that they do the semis, it seems like a little too far to do the finals at All Out, like we said. I guess they could. Because that would put it at
almost. I
mean, that's 3 weeks. It's pretty much 3 weeks. So feels like a long time.
I think that you can't keep I don't know that it's going to hold attention that long.
No, I think you either do it like you said, just on the actual YouTube show itself. Or you maybe you throw it on that following week's Dynamite or something just to kind of give it a little elevation. I don't know. It remains to be seen, Deuce, to answer your question. We don't know. So
right. As we are not involved in the booking of AEW.
But these are all. It's a good question because it is.
No, it's a great question because
wish we knew. They should be promoting it more.
They should be promoting it more. I think they're kind of, they're trying to throw a lot at the wall and see what sticks. And I think that they're not paying attention to enough of it.
Sure. No, I think you're right. I think you're right.
So I don't know. I hope that the finals at least get some sort of network coverage. But if they don't, I mean, whatever. They, like she said, they have their own show.
And it's the first one too. So maybe we hear these tournaments and we think this is going to be once a year. Doesn't have to be. This could be quarterly if they wanted it to be. You know, you could do this. You could do this at least semi-annually. I don't necessarily.
It could be whatever they want it to be.
Absolutely.
Like, it's wrestling. None of it matters.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Couple more things before we get out of here. I loved this tweet today from goddamn New Jack. We all love a little bit of New Jack.
I know exactly what one you're talking about.
You saw this. I'm happy that you saw this. Maybe if you're not a wrestling fan, you don't know who Logan Paul is. I'm not even super familiar. I'm sure Duncan.
Logan.
Well,
Paul
you watch his stuff every week. We all know that you're like the biggest Logan Paul. The finger. If you don't, you can't. If you're not watching on video right now.
No, the finger and the confused look. Like, are we fucking? Yeah.
Logan Paul. What is he? He's some
asshole.
YouTube influencer who's been repeatedly kind of in trouble for saying insensitive, racist douchebag
He's
things.
a dumb shit.
He's a dumb bro kid.
Shit.
Who
never had his ass beaten, and it shows.
So he tweeted,
oh man, this is so good.
$10,000 to any influencer who can beat me in a wrestling match. So he's talking about YouTube influencers, Instagram influencers, what have you. Well, then of course New Jack responds with, "I'll kill this motherfucker."
I'll kill this motherfucker. And New Jack means that shit.
Oh,
now,
he does.
I would love to see Nick Gage be the one that takes him down. He's like the new king of the death match right now.
Okay, gotcha.
The king Nick Gage would fuck him up too.
Oh yeah.
But New Jack already has a history of laying them boys open to the white meat, and that shit would be fucking like. Dude, the footage from the mass transit incident is nauseating.
It really is. I mean, I've seen enough of the dark side of the ring, and even before that, seeing some of that mass transit incident, and it should have never happened. The guy
New Jack threw a dude off a scaffolding,
like a 3-story scaffolding.
Intentionally tried to get it so that he missed the fucking ring and hit the ground.
It's fun. It's so funny. It's not funny because it's so terrifying.
It's
like
so
never, Logan Paul. If
you
you value living, just
accept the fight with New Jack, because and what you should do is you should also probably tweet and go on YouTube and talk about how much of a punk bitch New Jack is.
Oh yeah, because that's definitely gonna go over well.
No, you should do that because he likes that. It's all we call it ribbon in the
little kayfabe.
Yeah. No, we're gonna build up a little bit of heat for the match, and then you're gonna be dumb enough to give New Jack your address, and he's gonna show up, and one day. There's no more Logan Paul.
God damn. This one's another tweet that I don't know if you saw. Did you see about ShotZi Blackheart?
Oh, her fucking car got stolen.
Yeah, this one's kind of shitty, right?
Orlando.
Yeah, here in Orlando.
I retweeted this one to try and signal boost it.
We had it in our group on Facebook.com/group/OhNoWrestling. She said her car was stolen outside my apartment last night in Orlando, a 2015 white Honda Civic. She gives the license plate number LYTP77. Last track down, driving down Chickasaw at 5 a.m. And she says, also my gear bag with all of my gear, boots, entrance jacket, and helmet were in the trunk. If you were wondering why I'm wrestling in street clothes and don't have my helmet, this is why. So that sucks
so hard. It does. Also, like, why?
Don't keep your shit in the car.
No, it would have been in there from, I guess, from Raw. But why? It doesn't matter.
It really doesn't.
Don't keep your shit in your car, for one. But I hope she finds it.
Me too. She's another one with like tremendous potential. I want to say like she's.
Oh, I like ShotZi Blackheart. I think she definitely has a ton of fucking potential.
Yep.
And every time she gets turned into a GIF online, Sydney is like right behind her, so it's awesome.
Awesome. Yeah. I've got one more little story to get into today. Actually, two, but one's a little less interesting. I'll just bring it up. What are your thoughts on Chad Gable turning heel? That was my non-interesting one. I kind of like it because if he can get away from Shorty G, I'm into that.
I was going to say, do you mean Shorty G?
Fuck that. I kind of refuse to call him that.
I hate Shorty G. I think it's a dumb name.
Dumb gimmick, dumb gear, dumb pretty much everything.
I'm fine with it if they try something. Fuck it, they got to try something, right?
Yeah. And I think he's didn't American Alpha have a bit of a weird little heel run where that might have been not have been heel, but they were definitely tweenerish, they were going in that direction.
They were pricks. They were arrogant pricks.
And he's pretty good at that. So I can see kind of a heel run if he's allowed to run with that a little bit.
He's a good actual wrestler. So
a great actual wrestler. So yeah.
I think I could see it. I wouldn't hate it. It's not the worst thing I've ever heard in the world. As long as they don't call him Shorty G anymore, who gives a shit?
I know, right? I know. Dominic Mysterio took a beating. I mean,
dude,
he did actually.
R.I.P. Dominic's fucking abdomen. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that was pretty rough.
Fucking ow. Man, and I even texted Sydney. I was just like, "Fucking Dominic, man!" He goes, "Bro, they murdered him."
Yeah, they did.
Just that was a homicide. That's what that was.
Do you think I still have this weird suspicion that Samoa Joe gets involved in this match?
I mean,
and comes to Dominic's defense to take out Seth or something. It's just. There's something there with him, the little interaction with in the previous week with old facefucker and and
I think that Joe might be already cleared.
I've heard that too. It sounds like he might. I haven't
heard it, but if he is already cleared,
MVP let something slip.
Of course he did.
The last day or two, he was asked in an interview who we'd like to wrestle, and he threw out Samoa Joe's name. He's like, I've never wrestled with him before. He's like, I know he's coming back. I know he's coming back soon, I think is pretty much what he was going to say. So it sounds like that's there.
I would love that.
I don't think Dominic wrestles a full match with Seth Rollins. I don't know that they do that. They have to have something kind of,
Yeah.
And Joe feels like the right person to do that with Seth. And
yeah, I also think that it does. I don't want to see them do Seth and Murphy versus Dominic in a mystery partner.
Yeah, I don't want that either. That. No.
Book it as a one-on-one match with Seth versus Dominic. For Dominic's contract or whatever, you know what I mean? Then
I find a way to shoehorn
have it be
Joe
an
in there or
rules
something.
Match.
Exactly, which I think they more or less did last night. They without saying it, they said it because he can use a kendo stick, he can use whatever. So, yeah, I think they've opened it up to that. And Joe just feels like the guy for me to be that dude. I think
you're right. I think he should be, and I think it's been long enough, and people are people want to see Joe whoop Seth Rollins' ass.
Hell yeah, and they've got the history too. So
yes, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
It all works. It really all works. Last thing I wanted to bring up, and please, if you have anything else that you want to bring up, after this, please do. But I wanted to just say that I didn't know this was coming out. Do you know there's a documentary coming out? I believe it's the end of this month, about David Arquette.
Yep. Going to the drive-ins.
Yeah, and it looks pretty cool. I'm kind of into it. What's it called again?
I don't know.
I'll look it up. I'll look it up.
The David Arquette movie.
I mean, it is.
It's called You Can't Kill David Arquette, I believe.
I think you're right.
I think it is. And so, like, I just missed him.
You cannot kill David Arquette. You're 100% right.
I just missed seeing him at a bar wrestling show. Like, I think he was at, like, the show right after I left Southern California.
And if you're a casual wrestling fan, you might not know that David Arquette had a pledge, like, quite a few years ago to redeem his wrestling name, from his days in WCW and Ready to Rumble, and he's always been a wrestling fan and wanted
he got Russo'd.
He got Russo'd and ended up, being kind of a laughing stock in the wrestling industry, and has tried to his goddamn damnedest to wrestle the indies, get some indie cred, and he has. He's been working his ass off. He looks goddamn great. So this is his story,
he's
essentially.
Not a bad wrestler. Like I think Peter Avalon is actually one of his trainers. Peter Avalon and Ray Rosas.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, dude, like, he looks great. He still can work. Like, people love to see him.
He's a bit of an attraction.
Yeah, people remember when he was WCW World Champion, right? Like, so it's one of those things. They're just like, oh man, I remember that. And it was ridiculous. And he's like, I know, but he's still, like, he travels, he works, like, he's not a terrible worker. So I don't know, like, he's one of those guys that he will forever be linked to wrestling because of that.
Yep. And
because of his past over 20 years ago now. And I love his pledge to redeem it. I think he already has.
Oh, I think he has. And this movie is just kind of that document of that, or the documentary of him trying to redeem it, because I think there's a lot of footage throughout his journey into the indies and now where he stands on all of it.
Yep. And
this will just be proof to casual fans and even fans that weren't really aware that he's done this. And I will personally, I know you don't drink, Duncan, but I will cheers to David Arquette for what he did at his age as well, because he was no spring chicken when he got back into doing some pretty heavy indie stuff where he took some bumps that my fucking ass half his age wouldn't dare of taking. So
absolutely. I don't think you're half his age. Like, I don't think he's in
probably
his 60s.
Not.
I think he's in his 40s, like his late 40s, probably.
But still, I mean, like, he's not.
Dude, he has wrestled some
48 years old.
Yeah, he has wrestled some matches with some serious, like, hardcore people, and it's kind of wild. But yeah, I am excited. Yeah, it's going to be in drive-in theaters for a week, and then it comes out
August 28th, I believe, is the release date. And I don't know if they're doing it.
21st. So the 21st they're releasing in drive-ins.
Okay, gotcha.
And then the 28th is digital release.
Yep, that looks exactly right, like you just said, and I think you'll be able to get that. Just obviously, you'll be able to search and find it, and I'm sure it'll be on.
I'm sure it won't be hard.
It won't be hard to find it. With all these streaming services, you'll be able to find it.
Yeah, or it'll be on, like, the Google Play Store or iTunes, or it will be on something you will be able to find.
Yep, 100%. 100%. With that being said, Duncan, is there anything else that we need to really discuss before we get out of here?
Well, I mean, unless you can see the future and see what's about to break either in the next couple hours, right, or tomorrow while we're not doing a show.
Exactly, because that always happens.
It does always happen. No, I mean, it's just been a fairly kind of just normal week of wrestling.
Well, we say that, but we just did an hour and 45 minutes without taking any break whatsoever in conversation, talking about pretty much everything that's going on. So clearly there was enough going on in the wrestling world. We always we always feel like, it's like, oh, what's there to talk about?
We could
Jesus
talk
Christ,
about wrestling for 2 hours again tomorrow night, even after all the bullshit that we've talked.
Exactly, and still be able to do a show. You're absolutely right. Well, all right. We'll hopefully get Matthew back next week. Remains to be seen. We love that guy.
His presence is missed.
His presence is always missed. If not, I'm sure you'll get the two of us because we're unemployed and just watch wrestling and jerk off. I mean, what else are we gonna do?
Not wrong.
What do we say when we get out of here, Duncan? Woo! Oh, by the way, check out Nobody Cares Go Harder. That's Duncan's podcast. Check out OhNoWrestling.com, OhNoRadioShow.com, and leave us a voicemail like our good buddy Deuce did over at 407-906-6466. We love you. We'll see you next week. Be too sweet, brothers. Woo.